Well, joining us now is Mike Lindstrom. He's a relationship expert and the author of that fabulous book right there, Ask Dan and Mike.
Yes.
I forgot about Dan. Who cares about him? Mike's here.
He's in Las Vegas.
Mike, it's good to see you again.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah.
I know you are.
Yeah.
So what in the HE double hockey sticks is going on out there?
You know, that's the whole question. It's like, what is going on with the relationships in general? It's just, what's going on now with the, the Schwarzenegger and the Weiner? There's a deeper issue here. And the census came out last week, actually, with statistics that for the first time ever in the United States, 48% of Americans are married couples. That's never happened. So the census is telling.
The married people are in the minority.
They're in the minority now.
Yeah.
So there's a whole new paradigm that's going out there, and you see this as evidenced by things you see in the media. So you imagine you're in this YouTube generation, you're 15 years old, and this is what you see.
Yeah.
This is the politicians, the President of the United States, Clinton, we can go on and on about people in power cheating, but it's sending a message, and the values are completely changing in our country. And it's a really sad state of affairs with relationships.
I'm not sure if the values are changing, because it feels like people are still shocked every time they hear it, but it certainly seems like the parameters that define a healthy relationship are changing.
Right.
Yeah, but if we keep on having these type of reports that we have with men cheating, we're going to become desensitized, and our moral compass will change. It'll be like, oh, I guess this is okay.
Right. Yeah. That's a perfect point, because if you think about like Spitzer is cheating, gets on there, and then he's awarded a show on CNN as an anchor. Okay.
I know, really, you're rewarded for that.
President Clinton is caught red-handed, so to speak, and he's the darling of the Democratic Party. I mean, we can go on and on. So
he really kind of escaped impeachment on a couple of different levels when
big time.
The whole first part that happened.
Right. I mean, we see this every day. We are becoming sensitive. We say, oh yeah, that's typical.
Right.
I've been asked a lot lately. What do you think about this? Men in power cheating? And I say it's typical. They just have more chances because they're in the public eye. People are being thrown opportunities that maybe the average person isn't.
Okay, but
go ahead, Connie.
Let's go to Weiner, though. Let's just go to Weiner, because there's a whole different thing about, well, I cheated just a little bit with somebody, which of course there is no just a little bit. But there's a whole nother level here when you're putting things that are right in this general area up on the web for people to see.
Well, what about, okay.
I
know. Well, what
Not
about
to mention
the picture?
His name is Weiner, so the whole thing is just really.
That's what we were saying off camera. If your name is Weiner, you have a high standard.
He's a narcissist.
And you're a politician on top of that. You have a really high standard.
Yeah.
So, but when you take a picture of yourself, and there's the picture you saw with his nose down, I mean, everybody in the world could tell. Take a picture of underwear, maybe you can argue it's photoshopped, but
so
you've got to know social media is after you.
Don't you think he kind of wanted to get caught with that?
I think there's a certain temptation with, Tiger Woods, for example. I think he'll never admit this on record, but after it just gets so out of hand, you have this feeling of entitlement. You don't care anymore. You're like, the cat's out of the bag. Everybody knows it. My friends know it. Maybe she and her friends don't know it, but people know in general when these things are happening. So it's almost like this sense of, I just want to get this over so I can actually live an honest life. But why do you have to go through this to live an honest life in the first place?
Or like you're testing the waters. Well, how much can I really get away with?
That's right.
Because, I think people with power and money, they lose a sense of reality, and so many people praise them and they put you on a pedestal that you almost think that you're like almost godlike and you can do whatever you want, and that's absolutely wrong in our society. We absolutely must stop that behavior.
Look, Tiger Woods said it many times in his speech. He said entitlement half a dozen times, and he admitted it. Hey, look, there's a sense of entitlement that you feel. That was the only honest thing I heard from Tiger when he came out and addressed the public eye. You don't see this a lot with other people.
So I want to ask the bigger question here. When you look at men and the record here that they've had of doing this, right? Obviously, you look at it and go, oh, these guys are a mess. But if women had the same public track record, what would we be calling them?
Yeah, it wouldn't be positive. I mean, we say things like, you hear things like whore, and you things like trashy.
And they wouldn't be getting their own TV shows.
Oh, absolutely not. It would literally destroy a woman's career today.
And for the men who are watching, there are probably women out there who are doing the same game.
But it's pathetic, the way that we, as a society, it's a total double standard.
Unless you're young, cute, and single. Don't forget, we've got Paris Hilton, who's had some risky videos, and all of a sudden she's famous.
Some argue that catapulted her to the next level when she did that video 10 years ago.
It's ridiculous.
Of course, the brand that she's trying to shed now, as most recently with her new show. But look, let's be real. These people are in a social media generation. These things are going to constantly haunt you for the rest of your life. You have to, even the average person has to think, where might this go? Facebook, social media, Twitter, all these different things.
Okay, so let's go back to your book and ask Mike, what do you think, really at the end of the day, when you're with your buddies having a beer, what are you discussing with this, and what's the psychology behind why it happens?
Number one, we're never shocked. Even when we have friends, we say, oh, so-and-so's married, they've been married 10 years, he's cheating. Shocker. It's almost like a joke, but then when you get into the real issue, it's like, well, what's really going on? Because it takes two to tango.
Yeah.
If somebody's not getting their needs met, they're going to go find their needs somewhere else. I don't care if you're male or female. But when you really find out from a man's perspective, men can compartmentalize physical things. Women, not so much. Cheating happens more on an emotional level with women, studies have shown.
Right.
So a man could literally be totally in love with his wife. I mean, pass a lie detector test, be totally in love with his wife, go on a business trip for a night, have sex with a total stranger, never talk to her ever again, come home and look at his wife in the face and say, I love you.
Wow.
And pass. And that's the man mentality. There's this compartmentalization that men can do because it's more physical in nature. And that's the difference between men and women.
So what crosses that line, though, Mike? Why can men do that and come home? I mean, why is there no connection between what you've just done?
Help us to understand.
Take us in your dome.
Actually, there's a really good book on this. Well before our time, it was a doctor that talked about the psychology of the male brain. Dr. Brizendine talks about what's going on from an anatomical perspective with men, the chemistry that goes on in our brain. So there are certain things as men that we have a propensity to do. But look, we're an intelligent being. We learn value systems. We can circumvent the wiring system, so to speak, by living a life according to our values. But there are certain propensities that she talks about as men that we gravitate to.
Men
instinctually
produce.
Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. But you have to learn how to know your triggers, know the people in your life that are going to trigger those certain emotions, those situations, and talk about those things more effectively. Because if you're not getting your needs met, male or female, you're going to go find it somewhere else in a relationship.
Well, clearly Weiner wasn't getting his needs met.
That's right, he wasn't. And I just want to add one more thing to that. And this, I know this is going to open up a whole can of worms, but that is why a man really needs to be into his girl.
Well, absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely,
right,
100%.
Exactly.
It's all about the communication. That's what always goes back to communication.
And speaking of communication, our producer's going to kill us.
Right, a lot of you are sounding off.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
We got to clue into our Smart Family 15 Facebook page about why you think so many men in power cheat. And we got some really good responses. Wanda Street says, because they're not too bright to realize what they have.
That could be. Laura Elam says, because money shuts up mouths.